You're watching Console Conversations.
Hello everybody, it's me Walter the Germany Bull, and we haven't done one of these in quite some time actually. Me and Hyden haven't done an episode since episode 9 of season 2, and guess what? It is now season 3. We have big plans for this season, but you also might notice if you're watching this on YouTube that there's not really much interesting, and I have to apologize because to make these episode filmings easier, since we're making way more episodes this season than last, and much longer ones, we are going to not be recording gameplay in the background, instead just having our custom Console Conversation Season 3 logo overlaid on top. I'm pretty sure after a certain point we will have the gameplay back, but for this, at least this part of the season, that will not be the case, just to make filming easier, especially with what we're going to be talking about today, which is 10 games each, our top 10 favorite games of all time. Now, a long time ago, well, actually not that long ago, I did a top 10 games of all time, and split into two parts, but now that I've played way more games, I think I have made a much better list of 10 games. So basically, I'm going to go over my number 10. Hyden will go into his number 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Each one, we'll also be recounting an experience. So I'll go first with my number 10 game of all time, which is A Hat in Time. Now, I actually just yesterday beat and 100%ed A Hat in Time. It is a very creative little platforming game that reminds me of Mario 64, but I can actually use the controls, and it has a lot of good character and is a really great game, especially for the price. Probably my favorite experience with the game was, I didn't really enjoy it all too much until I got to World 3, the Subcon Forest. But once I got to that point and was experiencing more side content, that was when I really, really liked the game. And so playing through the Subcon Forest and the Alpine Skyline, especially playing through some of the Alpine Skyline in co-op, were probably some of my favorite parts of that game. So, yeah, A Hat in Time is my 10th favorite game of all time. And so, Hyden, you can go next with your number 10 of all time and your experience with it.
So my number 10 is Stellaris, and I'm starting to get back into it, and it's a really fun grand strategy game where, because I really like space, it kind of fits me better than the other grand strategy games. I mean, technically it's the only like AAA grand strategy game that I have. But yeah, and I think um, I don't know. I think the whole experience is pretty fun. It gets better after you find other civilizations, because at the start it's kind of boring because you're kind of just going like increasing your empire size a little bit by going to getting the science ship, going to the next system, surveying that, and then getting the construction ship. But when you start finding alien civilizations, and building up your technology more, it starts to get a lot more fun. And then also the wars are pretty fun as well.
Alright, cool. So, my number 9 is Ghost of Tsushima, which is a very recent game. I am very close to 100%ing it. In fact, I almost have the Platinum Trophy. So that would be the second game I've ever Platinum Trophied. the first being Spider-Man. But it's a very, very, very fun experience that I think appeals to way more people than it would initially seem. Because when I originally looked at it, I was kind of like, okay, that looks neat, but it's gonna be like Dark Souls, right? But then I ended up actually playing it, and I found out it's a lot more like, I would say, the combat is a lot like Breath of the Wild, but really cool because of the stance system. Makes it really fun and action packed. And the stealth segments are kind of like the first Last of Us. They're not very fleshed out, but they're still really, really fun, and it's really fun to explore. I think exploring and finding collectibles is probably the strongest point in the game. Um, and my favorite experience with the game was finally beating the first boss. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but the first boss, when you have bosses or certain duels, it's in this ring that's kind of like proves that a 3D Ghost of Tsushima fighting game would actually work. And so the first time I had one of those with the first boss, I could not beat him over and over again, but when I finally did, that was a really good feeling, and I beat the first act. So that's probably my favorite experience. But yeah, the game is really, really fun. It appeals to a lot more people than I expected. It appealed to me a lot more than I expected. And it's a lot like a samurai version of Breath of the Wild, but the landscapes are absolutely amazing and really nice looking. So, Hyden, you can go next and tell us your number 9 favorite game of all time.
My number 9 favorite game of all time is The Last of Us, and when I bought it, I wasn't I kind of expected to enjoy it, but not really because I didn't really like kind of horror-like games. But when I got into it, it was pretty fun. The first part was annoying and
Yeah.
not that fun because of the difficulty kind of at the start
Oh,
because
yeah.
you don't really know what to do.
And there are
But
a lot of difficulty
after
spikes before the end of the game.
but after the I think it's Detroit. No, I don't know. But after you get past the city after the town, well, like in the city, but after the
Are you
city,
saying once you get to the winter segment?
um, yeah, but it's like halfway through the city, it starts to like get a lot better.
Yeah, for me, that game almost that game was my number 10 for a while, because of the winter segment.
And then I think my favorite part was probably after it was probably like after I finished like the town segment, like the first town one. We were trying to find a car because that one was
Oh,
really
yeah.
hard.
Yeah. And I remember that sniper segment, like, oh my god. That was my least favorite part of the game, was the sniper segment, and especially
Yeah.
after the sniper segment in the second one, because like if you go, like, I went back and tried playing the first game after I played the second one, and I was like, oh my god, this game is absolutely way too difficult most of the time. So yeah. Okay. So next is my number 8, which is Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. So Spider-Man is a game that I did not really buy. Like, I knew it existed. It was on sale for a long time for like $20, but then I ended up caving because it was on PlayStation Now for free. How could I pass that up, right? So I
Hmm.
downloaded it and I played it and I was like, okay, this is fun. And then I started getting the collectibles and kept going through the story, and I realized it is probably one of the best open world games I've ever played. Because the strength of Breath of the Wild and Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn, all those lie in discovery. You're not always going to know where exactly to go, which is very strong game design because it makes when you discover something that much more impactful. Um, but in Spider-Man, you always know where to go next, so it never gets slightly frustrating like it kind of does in some missions in Ghost of Tsushima or Breath of the Wild. You always just catapulting to the next thing. The movement's so fluid and fun. And my favorite experience with it is probably just 100 is getting the platinum trophy, which I just did a couple days ago. Um, that was probably my best experience because I've never platinumed a game before, so that was amazing. Um, I also really like the spectrogram puzzles. Those are probably some of my favorite parts of the game, along with the combat and the world. So yeah, and Hyden, you can go next with your number 8.
My number 8 is Luigi's Mansion 3. So when I heard when I heard that was coming out, I was really excited because I wanted a third game in the series for a long, forever, ever since I beat Dark Moon, because I really like that game. And so yeah. And then once I got it, it was pretty fun. At the start, it's like most game stories, they're kind of slow, but like I feel like this one, um, it it's it it was like good at the start, but I really liked how like it's like you go through it, but then you go back to other places you've already been and they've changed. Like once I'd completed like 70% of the game, I went back down to the like the bedroom areas, and there was like different like things there, which is really cool. And I like how I like things like that where it's you can still explore areas that you've already been to, but they've changed from when you've explored them before, so there's more things to explore. So I like.
Yeah, that is really cool. Um, so next is my number 7. My number 7 is a beat 'em up game called Castle Crashers, and Castle Crashers is just a really fun game. It's just a really fun game. Not really much that I can say about it, because it's just a fun little game to take your time through, especially with like friends and family to play together. I've beaten it so many times I can't even count, and the fact that it's on the Switch now catapults it to being one of my favorite games of all time. It's just a super fun, creative game filled with content and character, and I really love it. So, Hayden, you can go next and tell us your number 7 game.
My number 7 game is Super Paper Mario. And what I really loved about this game is that it was like really good from start. Like the story's amazing, and it's kind of like it's like a very different like story, but also very similar at the because again, Bowser and Peach are getting married, but that's like near the end of the story.
Yeah, I have heard the story is
Another
really strong.
and another thing I really liked is that it was very explorative. Like I don't know, say it, but it's like you're exploring all these places like a lot, and you don't know like exactly where you're going or how you're doing these puzzles, but then you like go to 3D or use your the pointer thing that I kept forgetting existed in the game, to like find different things in the puzzles. And that was really cool. I also think my favorite part of the game is, hmm, I
So,
would say it's probably like the action kind of part, because it's either that or I think it's the mansion part, because it's like you go through it and then it's a lot of interesting things. It's a lot more dynamic than other worlds, but
yeah.
other places. You and then you go through, and then you at the end you get chased, and then you do this game show thing, which is interesting, and I really like that, especially the first time I played it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I've heard a lot of people like that game, and a lot of people are mixed on it. But I think it looks really interesting because I'm just not a huge RPG fan, but I really like the style of Paper Mario. So making a platform out of it's a very smart idea. So I'm trying to go a little quicker. My number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey, and I'm trying to go a bit quicker because I don't really have much to say among these. But Mario Odyssey is just it's spoilers, but it's the only game on my list that's from the Mario franchise because, as I've said before, PS1, I didn't really, I was more of Spyro and Crash and Banjo. I didn't ever really play many Mario games. I do like Mario Galaxy 1 a lot, but Mario Odyssey is just straight up fun the whole way through. I don't think there was really ever a part in the main story that made me annoyed. Every other game on this list, there was almost every other game on this list, there was a part like that. But I got my Nintendo Switch for this game. I barely knew anything about Breath of the Wild because I wasn't really into the Zelda formula a ton back then. But I played Breath of the Wild and loved it. But I bought my Switch for this game and it did not disappoint. I beat it in 3 days because it's not a very long game. But after that, there's so much to do, and everything about it is whimsical and fun and amazing. So that's my number 6 game, and Hayden, you can go next with your number 6.
My number 6 is Detroit Become Human. So the first time I played, I really liked it because the story was really good, and then all the choices you can make were pretty interesting because they all like you had to like actually think about your choices because they could end up getting your like uh character killed.
Yeah.
And so I really liked it, and then I played it like a lot. I beat it, spent um and then recently I started I played it again, beat it, but had a different outcome, which is I had a different outcome because I think I liked this one better because I was able to I chose the peaceful outcome, or the pacifist movement for the androids, and it ended up turning out really well. And my favorite part was that Connor survived because in my first playthrough, Connor died, and that made me really sad because he's my favorite character. Or yeah, he's my favorite character, and second favorite character is Hank. I don't really care about I do. Marcus is fine, but I don't really care about Kara and
Yeah. So,
little girl.
yeah, I'm pretty interested in that game. And I'm interested. I have played Beyond Two Souls, and I really didn't like it, but that game and Heavy Rain look really good. So yeah. But my number 5 is next, and that is Banjo Kazooie, which is uh, so because of this list, it is my second favorite platformer of all time. There are 4 on this list, and it's number 2, so that's pretty good. But yeah, it is so good. It's just I can't say this for like most other games. I can memorize pretty much every part of every level in this game because they're not very large. They're contained, but the advantage of that is that every single nook and cranny has something super interesting and super memorable, and the music and all the collectibles are delightful. The characters are just funny and hilarious. I absolutely love the gameplay because of it's not extremely challenging with your platforming, but it has extreme variety and exploration that make it just super duper fun. So I love that game. It's my favorite Nintendo 64 game of all time. And so yeah, so Hyden, you can go ahead and say your number 5.
My number 5 is Mario and Luigi Dream Team, and so I've had this game for years, and at first it was really hard because I was pretty young back then, but I did manage to beat it on having every boss on easy mode, but yeah, it actually took years to beat it the first time, and my and it's really fun because how actually long it is because there's so much gameplay,
Yeah.
and the battles are really fun. I really like the boss fights are also really fun. I
Yeah.
really like the Intasma battles. I don't think I'm saying his name right, but I really like those, and I think favorite part is either between beating the the beef the beef guy the first beating
Yeah.
Intasma being Intasma the second time, or beating
Beef kind of first. So
the mammoth brick
yeah.
thing the first time, because those were pretty hard battles.
Yeah, I played the Bowser's Inside Story one quite a long time ago, and I thought that one was really fun. So yeah, definitely interesting game. And next is my number 4, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. So this was my favorite PlayStation 4 game for a very long time. I didn't really care about the PlayStation 4. I had it, and I basically just had it for Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted. Uh, I that's why I bought my PlayStation 4. Um, and I also like Little Big Planet, so I bought it for that. But so I bought my PlayStation 4, and Ratchet and Clank was my favorite game there. And I don't know why, but everyone, like people outside of America hate on the game, and pretty much everybody hates the movie. But I loved both of them. Like, I really liked both the movie and the game. The game was my favorite game on the PS4 until I played Horizon. So I played Horizon, and it's just so fun. It's addicting. That's the best word to describe it. It's just addicting because it's not bad. Like, it's just so fun, and like every part about it is just fluid and awesome. And the story is great. The mechanics are amazing. I really liked all the characters. And yeah, so it was a great game overall. And my favorite experience with it was probably either the ending, which I thought was just great and sort of sad. It was kind of emotional at the end, but it was just a great ending. It's between that or playing it for the first time, because at first you play as the little girl and it's not that great, but on the first day of playing it, I got to and it was this cutscene where she's training, and it was like super amazing, and the music was a swaying orchestra, and that was probably my favorite moment in that game. So yeah, Hayden, you can go next with your number 4 game of all time.
My number 4 is Super Results. I think it's just my favorite because it has the most
Content.
the most content out of any of the other games. And my first Smash game was technically 4. And it seemed I didn't I liked it, but it was kind of clunky, and playing it, going back to it also feels clunky. But Smash Ultimate, it doesn't feel that clunky. But it's also pretty fun to play with all the different characters. There's a lot of really fun characters in there and then there's fact that they just keep adding different characters, which is another nice to it.
Yeah. I know you really like that game. So, next is my number 3, which is my favorite PlayStation 4 game of all time, which is The Last of Us Part 2. I really like this game because, well, the gameplay is like, I love the gameplay from the first game, but going back now, I can barely play the first game because, the melee combat back then was just tap buttons. Now there's dodging and way more complex melee combat, way more complex mechanics overall, way more open level design, way better graphics, and way better music and voice acting and sound design than before. So pretty much everything was a positive in terms of the gameplay for me, and I really liked the story, even though a lot of people didn't. But my favorite experience with it was probably uncovering the story as I went through it, because like I did not look at any of the spoilers because I did not want that. I had only seen one very small one, but it ended up not being true. So I played through the game, and without having any spoilers, it was shocking and taking my. It was basically like this massive, like, I don't know how to even describe it. It was probably one of my favorite weeks in my entire life. I would go as far to say that because I didn't know what was going on, so I was theorizing every day. I was talking about it every day with everybody around me. I was going through it and picking my way through it. It was like uncovering. It was like going through some weird, like it's like an Indiana Jones movie or something. You go to this mysterious island, and you're slowly like reaching with surprises at every turn, and I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, obviously there were things they could have done better. Like maybe a battle or two weren't as good as they could have been. But I think that doesn't detract from the overall experience, because every other game I have on my list, every other game I can possibly think of in the universe, has just as many, if not way more flaws than this game. Um, And I said it in my review, and I'll say it again. I just loved the story. I loved the characters. I really enjoyed it. And seeing what was happening to the characters around me was shocking, and, like, actually the first time I ever cried at the end of a game. So, just a very good experience. So, Hayden, you can go next with your number 3.
My number 3 is Super Mario Galaxy 2, and what I really liked it because I got it a few years after Super Mario Galaxy 1. It was a lot. I feel like it was a lot. Like it didn't have the same like special feeling as Super Mario Galaxy 1 did, but it was still really good with the Yoshi games and like the Yoshi like stars and the like it felt a little more linear and not like every world didn't feel as like special as every world in
Yeah.
Super Mario Galaxy 1, but that's probably because it was like line like linear thing and didn't have like a real hub world, and
Yeah.
it made it so I feel like that's the thing, but it had it had the controls were really good in both Galaxy 1 and well, yeah. I didn't really, and Galaxy
Yeah.
2 seemed like it was harder than Galaxy 1, which it probably was. And then it also had a lot more endgame things, but then it doesn't
Mhm.
feel kind of like you don't get to play as Luigi for the entire game, which,
You
but
love Luigi.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So, next, I'd like to talk about my number two. And by any logical standpoint, this should be my number one, but it's not. Because I think that this is the greatest game ever made, uh, objectively, but it's not my favorite. It's my second favorite because my first one is only my favorite because of nostalgia. So number two is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and I this is the game I got my Switch 6 months after it came out, and I played this game. I've played this game for over 200 hours. That's longer than I have played any game I have ever played. Especially longer than I played any game on my Switch. I think the closest is the Link's Awakening remake, which I played for 40 hours, I think. So that gives you an idea. I played this game. I've been playing it a lot for 3 years. Just like a couple of days ago would have been the 3-year anniversary of getting the console and this game. And I have only gotten 32% through it because it is a massive like adventure. It's really an adventure. It takes the idea of the original Zelda and makes it a reality. It's the first Zelda took me 7 hours to beat, all in all, I believe, with rewinds. Don't even get me started on the original NES version. But the Breath of the Wild is just it takes every trope ever introduced into a video game and combines it. There's monster hunting, there's swimming, there's climbing, there's flying, there's it can appeal to pretty much anybody with its own styles of gameplay that are all fleshed out enough to be their own game, yet they're only small mechanics in the larger picture, which is why it's my number two game of all time. So Hayden, you can go next with your number two game of all time.
so my number two game of all time is Super Mario Galaxy 1 because it was one of the first games I ever got, and it was really interesting, like, and special because it was like the first Mario game I had that had an actual story, kind of, and had more more stakes than any of the Mario games. Like how is like in the Wii version that I'm pretty sure I had before getting Mario Galaxy, how is having um the princess being captured by Bowser in the Mushroom Kingdom, greater than Bowser capturing the princess again, but that's like every Mario game, and having her, and then also trying to conquer the universe at the same time. So I think it's a lot more. There's a lot bigger stakes in this, and then
Yeah.
in this game than other games, which I really liked. And then I also um, had a special connection to the end, like the final boss, kind of like because I completed all these other things, and it was the final like world was pretty hard as well. That was pretty. I really liked that, and then also the amount like the end the post game like it's not like as like good exactly as
Galaxy
like
2.
Galaxy 2 and Odyssey, but it does it's like you don't need all the stars to fight Bowser, so even
Yeah.
after you defeat Bowser, you can you're going to end up going attacking.
Yeah.
You're going to end up finding all the stars, like the rest of the stars, and then you have to find all the stars with Luigi, which is I'm pretty sure it's hard because Luigi is like has less friction.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that game is really good. So, next is my favorite game in the universe that I have ever played, and I don't think any game could ever come close to topping this because of sheer nostalgia. Even the remake of this game didn't beat it just because I don't know why. I just like the original a bit better. I think the controls are a bit better. And that game is Spyro the Dragon on the PlayStation 1. It was the first game I ever played, and it is my favorite game of all time because of that. Uh, so many memories with the game. I've probably beaten it 7 times, and I think that's more times than I've beaten any game I have ever played. So I love the game to death. I remember, Spyro 1 was the first game I ever played, and I love it. Spyro 2, I actually liked more for a while there, because I got it, and, you know, I would get home, and I would just play that game, and so many memories, and the music in that game is so good. But I don't know what it is, but the first one, just something about it just makes it so, so good. So, it's my favorite game of all time, and probably my favorite memory with it was, I said this in a live stream, I got blueberry pancakes in the mail, or I think it was blueberry waffles in the mail, and while I was playing, so I just ate it while I was playing, and that was amazing. So yeah, Hyden, go ahead and tell us your favorite game of all time.
So my favorite game of all time is Spider-Man PS4. And why I think this is because when I was watching, I was watching this video on someone playing Spider-Man PS4. I was like, because I was already interested in getting it. When I saw it, it was like these ragdoll physics, and I was like, whoa, they have ragdoll physics in this game because the other previous Spider-Man games didn't. I
Oh
don't
yeah, they
think, and
got rid of it.
that was really cool. And then when I got it, it was interesting because at first, even on normal difficulty, or I don't know if I was above normal difficulty, but it was like decently difficult at that like level. And then also like all the things that you could do and all the things that you could explore. Like you could just like go around the city, swinging to the tallest building, going on top, taking a picture, and then jumping down to
Yeah,
um like fill your playtime. And then there's also all of the like all the different like like bases that are really fun to do because at first because I'm not really good at stealth most of the time, but it's kind of fun because at first you're doing a little bit of stealth, and then you can just like fight them all at the same time. Because I really like it when you're fighting a bunch of people at the same time and not taking any damage, which
Yeah.
is really fun as well. And
Yeah, that
then
game is great.
I also liked how much DLC content it has
Mm.
because like I don't think any other superhero game up to that point like had DLC content, or maybe they did, but I didn't know about it. But it was the DLC content's like basically its own game basically its
Oh,
own
yeah.
Spider-Man game too.
And most good games that I've played, like, the DLC is terrible, but in Spider-Man, it's really good. So, yeah. So, yes, those are our top 10 games of all time. Basically a redo, but in the form of a console conversations episode. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching. Season 3 has just begun, and we have crazy plans. Season 1 was we always pre-recorded pretty much every episode because they were about general topics, and that's what we're doing with this season. I'm gonna say this: Hyden will return near the end of 2020 in a future episode, and I hope you guys enjoy that because I'm gonna be ranking some consoles after my Nintendo video. I got some requests to do like Sega, so Sega is next. I'm gonna be ranking the Sega consoles in September. I'll be ranking tons of other consoles. Then we'll have more general episodes overall. But thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe. Make sure to leave a comment down below. What are your favorite games of all time? What did you agree with or disagree with in this video? Comment down below, subscribe, like. Be safe, everybody. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.